There are two genealogies for Jesus Christ, one in Matthew, one in Luke, and they are very different. How do we reconcile this with the virgin birth of Christ? Find out on this episode of Ancient Egypt and the Bible. I am often asked about the inconsistencies between the genealogies of Matthew and Luke, and how this can play out with the virgin birth and the fact that Mary was Jesus' only biological parent. Recently, I received the following question. How is Jesus from the Davidic line if Joseph, who was physically from the line, was only his stepfather? Mary was not from that line. Jewish rabbis tell my Jewish friends to answer me with that question. Thus, Jesus could not have been a virgin birth for that to be true. Okay, I get this question quite often. And this is one of those questions that can be resolved from a careful reading of the text. The short answer to the question is that both Joseph and Mary are from the Davidic line, just different Davidic lines, plural. How we arrive at that conclusion, however, is more interesting. So, let's begin with the genealogy from Matthew, which compared to Luke is pretty straightforward. In that genealogy, Joseph is stated to be a son of David in Matthew 1:20. And the genealogy in Matthew shows Joseph was the son of Jacob, who descended from the kingly line of David, Rehoboam, Shealtiel, and Zerubbabel. That gives us a legal line of descent. Now, more interesting and a bit more complex is the genealogy from Luke, which seems like a radical departure from the Davidic line, but it isn't. The fact is that Mary, too, comes from a Davidic line, just a different line than what we find in Matthew, but we find here in Luke chapter 3. Luke begins Mary's ancestry by initially tracing it a son of David from Nathan to Shealtiel and Zerubbabel, and finally to Eli and Joseph, the quote, supposed father of Jesus, Luke 3:23. On the surface, given both the genealogies of Matthew and Luke, it may seem that Shealtiel might have two fathers. However, what we actually have here is a maternal descent expressed through the names of the fathers. This is actually not unheard of in the Hebrew scriptures. For example, we find this taking place in 1 Chronicles 2:34-35, where Shushan had no sons, only daughters, but is credited with an unbroken genealogy. Now, as just stated, the genealogies of Matthew and Luke intersect at the point of Shealtiel and his son Zerubbabel, Luke 3:27, Matthew 1:11-12. It is at this point the daughter of Neri married Shealtiel, and the two early ancestries merge to become a single Davidic line for a generation. After Zerubbabel, the clan forks into two Davidic lines, a line of Abihud, Joseph's line, and a line of Ressa, Mary's line. Both the line of Ressa and the line of Abihud are Davidic lines. They're both descended from Zerubbabel. So we see here that both Joseph and Mary are descended of the Davidic line. Furthermore, with the birth of Christ, we are actually told that he was born, quote, supposedly of Joseph, son of Eli. But we've already been told in Matthew that Joseph was the son of Jacob. So we have to conclude from this that Mary is the daughter of Eli and that she has no brothers. So all the rights of inheritance passed through the daughter, provided genealogy could be established, along with the inheritance rights of the husband to the offspring by right of genetics and adoption. Therefore, the offspring of Mary and Joseph gets the rights and privileges of both parents. 1 Chronicles 2, 34-35, and Numbers 27, 3-8. And the reason why, if there's no sons, it passes through the line of the daughters is to maintain clan integrity. One of the things we have to understand about clan integrity is clans have their allotment, their portion. And there has to be a way to maintain the portion for the next generation, even if there's no sons to inherit it. So all this boils down to clan integrity. And this is why, even with there's no sons to carry on the father's name, the father's name is still part of the clan integrity that's passed on to the next generation. Thus, Jesus had the legal rights as inheritor of both Davidic lines. And taken together, this more than meets the prophecy that Messiah had to be a branch from the line of David. Jeremiah 23:5, 33:15. So anyway, I hope you found that helpful. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next time on Ancient Egypt and the Bible.